Okay guys, we've got part 2 of 2 where we're looking at the top 10 best performing stocks in 2018 that are listed on the S&P 500. Let's get started. What's up everybody, my name is Ale and welcome to my world of stocks. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. So yesterday we covered part 1, so we went through stocks number 10 to number 6. Today we're going to go through stocks number 5 to number 1. Now in case you missed part 1 of this little 2-part series, I will have it linked down in the comment section so that you can go ahead and just click on that. You can see part 1 and then you can jump back here and get stocks 5 to 1. Now I'm also going to be giving my opinion on all of these stocks, and I'll let you know if I'm either invested in any of them or if I plan to invest in any of them. But just keep in mind that all of the information in today's video should be accurate as of December 20th. And there's about 11 days left in the year. So just keep in mind that some of the numbers might be a little different by the time you watch this video, but overall it should be pretty accurate. Okay guys, at stock number 5, we've got another company that I've personally never heard of, and this is Abiomed, ticker symbol ABMD, and they're up over 50% in 2018. They're up over 200% in the past 3 years, and they're up massively in the past 5 years at almost 1,000%. And they currently trade for a whopping $284 per share with a mid to large market cap of over $13 billion. Now, as far as their business goes, this is a company that originally wanted to develop the first artificial heart. And after they did develop, I guess they developed some sort of artificial heart, but the device turned into a commercial failure because it didn't last long enough to be seriously considered as an option. However, they hired Michael Minogue back in 2004 to take over the CEO role, and he actually came from GE's healthcare division, which has seen tremendous success, but he eventually led Abiomed to success, having them shift their focus from developing replacement hearts to developing medical devices that assist the heart, including a popular lineup of heart pumps that are currently replacing older technologies in that field. In fact, when looking at their most recent earnings, their Impella heart pump saw revenue increase worldwide by 38% year over year, and the company's total revenue for the quarter jumped by 37% year over year, with GAAP net income jumping massively at over 100% year over year. They also have a pretty decent profit margin of over 27%, but they don't pay any dividends, and their trailing PE is pretty darn high at almost 70, with a PS ratio above 18 and a PB ratio above 16. And while they are expected to keep growing revenues and earnings by 20% according to simplywallstreet.com in terms of annual growth rate, their PEG ratio is still a bit high at 3.4. So even though this company does seem to be promising for the future, it's a company that I've never really, well, I'm just being honest with you, I've just never really heard of them, and I'd have to really research them further before I even think about investing in them. But not just that, I'm also not very well versed in the healthcare industry. I don't know much about it. I usually try to stay away from investing in the healthcare industry, but sometimes there are a few stocks that I kind of like that are similar. I kind of like United Health, I kind of like Aflac, so there are a couple of stocks that I like out there, but those stocks actually pay dividends, whereas this one does not pay a dividend. And again, they're kind of in a market that I just don't really understand. So I'd have to really do some research before I even consider this stock. On top of that, they seem to be a little expensive. So while they might be a pretty decent growth stock, they're a bit expensive for that too. Like, you're gonna have to pay for that growth. And again, I'm just not sure I'm willing to pay for a company that I'm not too familiar with. Okay guys, moving on to stock number 4, we've got Advanced Auto Parts. And this one I'm pretty surprised to see on this list. And even O'Reilly Auto Parts was actually number 11 on the list. So AAP number 4, O'Reilly Auto Parts at number 11. That's pretty surprising to me. I'm not sure where these auto part retailers are coming from, but that may have to do with auto part retailers struggling in 2017 and then having some recovery here in 2018. I remember that there was a lot of fear going around that time that Amazon would take them out of business by selling auto parts themselves. But either way, AAP is up over 52% in 2018 and currently trades for $152 per share. Now, as far as their business goes, there's not really much to say here. They're just an automotive parts retailer that sells new and used car parts, liquids, accessories, and tools, mostly for do-it-yourself projects, but also just kind of general automobile maintenance, and also for professional mechanics and their different operations. Now, O'Reilly doesn't pay a dividend, but AAP does, although they've paid them since 2006 and have never increased them, according to seekingalpha.com, which isn't really a good sign. Having said that, their yield is very low at just 0.15%, but at least the payout ratio is insanely low at just around 3%. Still, that dividend, I mean, it's like almost non-existent at that yield, and also the fact that it's just never increased. Now, looking at their valuation, their profit margin is pretty low at just above 5%. Their trailing PE is okay at 20, it's kind of decent, it's not too bad. And their forward PE improves a little at 18 with a decent PEG ratio of 1.22. But still, this isn't really an insanely cheap stock to get me really excited about. It's just kind of average, and I think there's much better valuations out there for better companies. And even as a growth stock, its revenue only increased by 4% last quarter, year over year, and year to date, it only increased by 2%. So all in all, it's just kind of a decent stock, I guess. I mean, you know, they're growing, but not not by anything crazy, not really anything to attract, a growth investor like myself. And as far as being a value stock, I mean, I guess they're okay. They're valued pretty, average, I guess. Forward PE of like 18, I guess that's okay. I mean, doesn't Apple have like a forward PE of like 13? So I just feel that there's better companies out there at better valuations. And on top of that, their dividend is very low. I mean, even Apple pays a bigger dividend than that, and they've actually been increasing their dividends, and they have, they're probably going to continue to increase them. Whereas AAP has been paying dividends since, I forgot the number. It was like 2006, and they have never increased those dividends. So that seems a little weird to me too. So I don't know, just seems kind of average, but definitely not a stock that I'm interested in. All right, guys, moving on to stock number 3. So we're down to the top 3 now. Stock number 3, we've got TripAdvisor, ticker symbol TRIP. Now they're currently up almost 60% in 2018, but are actually down about 33% in the past 5 years, and they currently trade for around $55 per share. Now this is sort of a mid-cap stock at $8.2 billion market cap, and as far as their business goes, they basically help users schedule flights, make cruise reservations, make hotel reservations, schedule extra activities and attractions, and basically just plan your entire vacation or trip online. On top of that, they bring in ad revenue by allowing all of the above mentioned to compete for advertising on their site for a fee. So TripAdvisor basically brings in revenue from booking fees and advertising fees, and it's a pretty decent business model overall. They currently have their websites up and running in 30 different countries in 21 different languages, with their TripAdvisor.com website being the market leader. Now, they've been seeing a decline in growth for their hotel booking segment, but the CEO said that it will return to growth next quarter and is already becoming more profitable. On top of that, total revenue increased by 4% year over year, with GAAP net income increasing by an enormous 176%. So this seems to be a market leader that is still growing and running more efficiently, which is equating to improved profits. Still, if their valuation on Yahoo Finance is accurate, which I'm always a little skeptical of because sometimes Yahoo Finance has some pretty crazy numbers, but they are pretty damn expensive. They have a trailing PE ratio of over 376. That seems insane to me. That's very high. And a PS ratio of almost 5 and a PB ratio of above 5, with only a 1.3% profit margin. I'm guessing they just kind of started being profitable. Maybe that's why the PE is so high. But anyways, that's just very, very high. For some reason, there are no future estimates given here either. So there's nothing available for the forward PE or for their PEG ratios. But according to simplywallstreet.com, they have a really high PEG ratio of over 13. But at least their annual growth rate is expected to be above 20%. Still, this is a non-dividend paying stock that seems to be priced pretty expensively if those numbers are accurate. And when you consider the fact that so many people are predicting a recession coming very soon, these type of leisure leisure related companies, booking cruises and hotels and going on vacation, things like that. A lot of times these companies get hit pretty hard during recessions, And we know that the global economy is kind of slowing down and having a lot of issues out there too. And this is really a global company as well. So I would definitely see some signs of concern. And the fact that it's already priced so expensively, and even looking at their PEG ratio, which factors in future growth, is still above like what, 13 or something. That seems very expensive to me. So I'd be interested in researching this company further and maybe doing some of these calculations myself just to make sure that those numbers are accurate, because they seem pretty high. But if those are accurate, yeah, I can't really touch this stock. It just seems way too expensive. Okay, guys, moving on to stock number 2, we've got Fortnite. Oh, no, wait, that's Fortinet. They're up almost 60% year to date, up close to 300% in the past 5 years, and they currently trade for almost $70 per share. Now, as far as the company and their business goes, this is a company that I've actually heard of, but I've never really researched them much beyond that. And either way, this is an IT and network security solutions and services provider that offers cyber protection for enterprises as well as government agencies, which is pretty cool. It's essentially a cybersecurity company. And they offer a number of different products, but their most famous one is called their Security Fabric platform that features their next-gen firewall and several other products into one complete package. And that complete package has been receiving a lot of praise in the cybersecurity industry, which is helping the company grow. In fact, looking at non-GAAP numbers in their most recent quarter, revenue jumped by over 20% year over year, and net income increased by 74% with an EPS of about 50 cents per share, and a gross margin and operating margin of around 76% and 24% respectively. Still, they're a little expensive with a trailing PE of over 100, but that does improve dramatically forward to less than 35, and their PEG ratio is pretty decent at 1.5, but their PB ratio is really high at over 13, and they do not currently pay any dividends. So while I do find this company very interesting and they seem to be growing at a pretty fast rate, could be a decent growth stock, I just feel that they're a little expensive considering that there's a lot of really good companies out there trading at new 52-week lows. This one is still kind of trading a little high. But if I see a significant drop in price, maybe a stock that I research further, but again, it's not really a company that I'm too familiar with, so I'd have to research them more. Let me know if you'd like to see a review video on them. I think that would probably be a lot of fun. Alright guys, let me get that drum roll. Brrr. Stock number 1, the best performing S&P 500 stock for all of 2018, AMD. That's right, baby, AMD. For all those people that constantly tell me on my channel that all of my stocks are horrible and that they never go up, well, they can suck it, because I've been talking about AMD since the start of this channel when they were trading at less than $10 per share. I was talking about AMD being one of my largest stocks, and here we are in 2018, the best performing S&P 500 stock for the entire year. Okay, enough bragging. I'll just quickly tell you my history with AMD. Like I mentioned, I was buying them mostly under $10 per share. That's where I did most of my buying. And then I cashed in a lot of really high profits at above 20 and also above $30 per share. That was where I cashed in a lot of my profits. And mostly in the 20s, though, if I'm being honest with you. In the 30s, I cashed in smaller amounts of profits. But I still held a small position of AMD for the future, so I am currently invested in AMD still to this date. Now, they're currently up almost 75% year to date, and they're up over 500% in the past 3 years, currently trading for around $17 per share. Now, as far as the company and business goes, they're a semiconductor company that mostly develops CPU, GPU, and APU chips for personal computing, advanced computing, and enterprise computing. This can range from chips that you use in your own personal computer to huge workstations and server infrastructures for cloud computing, artificial intelligence, deep and machine learning, and the list just goes on and on. Now, in the past few years, AMD has been taking off thanks to their Ryzen CPUs, Vega GPUs, and EPYC server CPUs that have helped AMD finally become competitive in not just price, but also in performance against both Nvidia and Intel, where they've been able to steal market share in several markets. Now, I'm still invested in AMD because I have high hopes for their upcoming 7nm chips that are being manufactured by another company that I'm also invested in, and that's Taiwan Semiconductor, but AMD remains one of the most controversial stocks out there thanks to their rich valuation. Now, to be fair, they only recently started being profitable last year, but their trailing PE is very high at almost 60, but their forward PE does get cut almost in half to 28. And I have no idea why Yahoo has their PEG ratio at 70. This is another one of those instances where Yahoo Finance, I don't know, like I'm not sure if I can trust them on this, because I guess they're quoting analyst estimates that may not be accurate, or maybe they fudged the numbers a little. But anyway, they have their PEG ratio at 70, which seems insane to me, but that doesn't look right at all. According to simplywallstreet.com, their PEG ratio is really good at less than 1. Still, their PB ratio is very high at over 15, and AMD does not pay a dividend and likely won't, since they need to invest so much money into their research and development. Still, this is a stock that is actually down over 40% in the past 3 months, and a lot of this has to do with their weak performance in their latest quarter due to crypto mining raising their numbers the year prior, but is virtually non-existent going forward, given that crypto prices have crashed and it's no longer as profitable to mine for cryptocurrencies. Now, this leads to less people buying AMD GPUs and flooding the market with extra used GPUs that they used to use for crypto mining, and so this is now hurting their sales. In fact, GAAP revenue and net income only increased by 4% and 67% year over year respectively, and dropped by 6% and 12% quarter over quarter respectively. So they'll probably struggle for another couple quarters. It's probably going to take a little while for them to normalize their GPU channel and not be so dependent on crypto mining. But they should also see a growth in the future coming from the data center market because of their EPYC chips, also their 7nm chips. When you also look at gaming home consoles, PlayStation and Xbox, those should be releasing new generations soon, and those should be using AMD chips as well. Maybe some form of AMD APU that kind of combines a CPU and a GPU. But either way, Ryzen, Vega, there's upcoming Navi, 7nm Navi GPU, and then you also have the EPYC GPU. So there's a lot of things to look forward to with AMD, and that's why I continue to be invested in them. Now, if you ask me what would it take to start buying them again, because I really haven't been buying them for a pretty long time now, I was just cashing in profits, I would like to see AMD dip to the low teens. I know that's kind of messed up, because I know a lot of you are invested in AMD. You may not want them to dip that low, but you know, if they dip to the low teens, look, I'm an investor too. I'm invested in AMD, and I'm someone who is asking for that stock price to go down, because I would like to buy more AMD, but I'd like it to be like in the low teens. And man, if AMD dropped below $10 a share, I'd definitely be picking up a lot of AMD. That's historically where I did a lot of buying, was below $10 per share. All right, guys, I think we're just about done here. So if you enjoyed the video, please let me know by hitting the like button. It really helps support the channel, help it survive and grow. And if you guys want to see a top 10 worst performing stocks from the S&P 500, let me know. I can also make that video. And then let me know if you have any thoughts on any of the stocks that I mentioned today. Let me know what your thoughts or opinions are on any of them. And if any of the numbers are wrong, feel free to correct me in the comment section. You know, sometimes I'm using these websites as sources, and sometimes they get numbers wrong. So feel free to correct me if anything is wrong. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you all have a wonderful, beautiful day, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take care. Oh, by the way, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and have a good one. I'll see you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye.